Okay. Okay, bye. Good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to the City of Helena's City Commission meeting, June 12, 2023, 6 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Welcome and thank you for participating in the City of Helena City Commission meeting. We are pleased to be able to provide this alternative meeting format in the city's effort to broaden public participation. Please be patient as we may experience technical difficulties during the meeting. We welcome your public commentary. Please read the following tips and guidelines for the app usage and your participation. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Assistant City Attorney Hockaluk. Here. City Manager Burton.
Here.
Commissioner Dean.
Here.
Commissioner Shurtleff. Sorry, he's online trying to unmute.
Okay, but we see.
I am here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Logan.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
And Mayor Collins.
Here. Would you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. The minutes for 5/17/23, 5/22/23, 5/25/23, and 6/7/23 were received. Are there any comments, questions, corrections we need to make? If not, they will be received as submitted. Board appointments. I'm recommending the following board appointments. ADA Compliance Committee, appointment of Jeannie Renard to an interim term on the ADA Compliance Board as a medical field representative. Interim term will expire September 1st, 2024. Business Improvement District, appointment of Alice Santos to an interim term on the Business Improvement District. Interim term will expire October 31st, 2025. Citizens Conservation Board, appointment of Nora Page McFadden to a first term on the Citizen Conservation Board. Term will expire February 28, 2024. Golf Advisory Board, appointment of Jim Crancroft to an interim term on the Golf Advisory Board. Interim term will expire October 31st, 2023. Appointment of Rob Logsdon to an interim term on the Golf Advisory Board. Interim term will expire October 31st, 2023. Police Commission, reappointment of Derek Van Loschen to a third term on the Police Commission. Term will expire May 1st, 2027. Railroad TIF Advisory Board, appointment of Catherine Anderson to the Railroad TIF Advisory Board as a Montana Business Assistance Connection representative. This is an unexpired term. Tourism BID, appointment of Keith Bergman to a first term on the Tourism BID. Term will expire April 10th, 2026. Are there any discussions from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would move to accept the following board appointments. ADA Compliance Committee, the appointment of Jeannie Renard to an interim term on that board as a medical field representative. Interim term will expire September 1, 2024. The appointment of Alice Santos to an interim term on the Business Improvement District. Interim term will expire on October 31, 2025. The appointment of Nora Page McFadden to a first term on the Citizens Conservation Board. Term will expire February 28, 2024. The appointment of Jim Cancroft to an interim term on the Golf Advisory Board. Interim term will expire October 31st, 2023. Appointment of Rob Logsdon to an interim term on the Golf Advisory Board. interim term will expire October 31, 2023. The reappointment of Derek Van Lucian to a third term on the Police Commission, term will expire May 1, 2027. The appointment of Catherine Anderson to the Railroad TIF Advisory Board as a Montana Business Assistance Connection Representative. This is an unexpired term. Appointment of Keith Brugman to a first term on the Tourism BID. Term will expire April 20, 2026.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? If not, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda. I see one motion. Claims. No. Okay, I don't see my consent agenda available. Would someone please, Commissioner Dean, would you read a consent agenda, please?
Sure. The only item on the consent agenda is claims. And I believe the first is in the amount of $4,001,877. The second is in the amount of $513,732. And I'm happy to.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I will the consent agenda item A claims.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Commission proposals from the commissioner? Anything from commissioners? Okay, we'll continue. Report of the city attorney. Do we have the city attorney's report?
I'll try again. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have nothing to report today. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of the city manager.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Communications from the Helena Citizens Council.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have Aaron Donnell.
You have the floor, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners, Mayor Collins, Manager Burton. There will be an HCC meet and greet with the public on June 20th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the library. This will be an interactive to the public. They will learn who the HCC is, what we do, and how we represent the public. Our HCC budget was approved and voted upon, then forwarded to the commission as was presented on the June 7th admin meeting. Amy Tiergarten of Fire Safe Helena presented to the HCC at the May 24th meeting, and the HCC wholeheartedly supports the program. The HCC is looking forward to attending the June 20th City of Helena meeting, and we will have 2 representatives there. And that's it for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Ms. Donnell? Thank you, Ms. Donnell. We appreciate your input. City manager budget submittal for fiscal year 24 preliminary budget. Director Danielson and or Manager Burton, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just as a overview for the preliminary budget, proposed sources of revenue are $99,677,045. Proposed budgeted uses are $103,592,764. And proposed other appropriations are $279,955. This particular line item are those expenditures that are used for balance sheet items. They're not necessarily revenue and expenses. They're balance sheet items such as the service line loans and the solar loans. And capital expenditures for fiscal 24 are proposed to be $16,462,528. The highlights of the fiscal 24 proposed budget are the recruitment and retention of staff. That contains adjustments from our market study for staff outliers and wage, 4% proposed COLA for non-bargaining unit staff, health insurance adjustments, and a 9% premium increase that the city is absorbing and not passing off to the employees to help with our retention and recruitment of employees. We're proposing 3.5 new full-time equivalents. One is the court officer, that is a sworn police officer, an industrial facilities technician, an increase the evidence clerk from part-time to full-time, and a budget analyst in the finance department. The city manager's narrative to the city and message to the city commissioners also included in his priorities to promote financial stability with the implementation of policies and procedures. I will note that the operating budgets for fiscal 24 are fairly status quo, although I did present some overview of just some highlight of appropriations that to bring to the commission's attention. One is that we are budgeting extra dollars for special election costs in fiscal 24, including $8,000 for the local government review election costs that'll be in 2024. In community development, they added to their budget to provide enhanced public notice signs for easier read and notification to the public. They have $85,000 budgeted for planning services for their growth policy, $25,000 for a joint standard study with the county, and $30,000 housing navigator contributions to the Good Samaritans. I do know that that particular program is still being evaluated with Good Samaritans, and I'm sure there will be an update by the community development director as they get more information on that. In the streets fund, they planned for almost $280,000 in architectural and engineering services for impact studies and surveys. They added $100,000 for enhanced crosswalk beacons throughout the city. In the CDBG Home Fund and Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we're budgeting appropriations for $1.4 million of pass-through grants for YWCA, Helena Food Share, and Rocky Mountain Development Council, and $1.4 million in estimated contribution for the Twin Peaks Housing Project to come out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The Civic Center has enhanced their professional entertainment fees, although those are supported by ticket sales. And there is the $351,000 for the HVAC upgrades. That's actually just a item that they had budgeted in their capital in fiscal 23. However, in order to consolidate the funds in one fund, they're budgeting to transfer that money over to the general capital fund so we can just consolidate the entire project in one fund. In the wastewater and water funds, they had increases in their chemical and lab supplies, and we've seen this at the swimming pool as well, where chlorine fees and all chemical and lab supplies are increasing, in addition to utility costs for electricity are increasing significantly next year. And in the solid waste fund, they've budgeted $308,600 to subsidize the curbside recycling program. Notable major capital expenditures in the fiscal 24 budget include $423,000 budgeted for law and justice center improvements, almost $1.5 million in stormwater improvement projects. One is the CIPP liner, the Centennial Park capacity study, and a rate study for stormwater rates. There is $2.757 million in water projects budgeted, include groundwater wells, security and gate fencing, compliance software, fire hydrant replacements, main replacement program, actuators, and utility building lift station improvements and replacement of water lines. In the wastewater fund, they have budgeted $2.796 million for gas lines, a digester boiler, digester tank rehab, a sump pump, sewer lines, main replacements, SCADA hardware and software improvements, and beltless polymer system improvements. In the transfer station, they have budgeted across 3 different funds that are sharing the cost, $196,000 for the station entrance improvements. In solid waste, they're budgeting $150,000 for a rate study. In streets and transportation, they're budgeting $1.3 million in pavement preservation projects. And citywide, there is about $4.8 million in vehicle and equipment replacements budgeted for fiscal '24. That's a summary of just notable expenditures. As I noted earlier, it's a fairly status quo budget. There will be some capital project carry forwards that are brought to the commission in July for projects that hadn't been able to complete in fiscal '23 that will carry to '24. The next steps for the fiscal '23 preliminary budget is for the commission to make a formal motion to accept additional operating costs that aren't currently in this printed document, or $80,000 in swimming pool temporary salaries, $20,000 grant to the HACF, a $5,000 grant to the Helena Symphony, a $5,000 grant to MBAC, a $1,000 grant to Big Sky Pride, and a $1,000 grant to the Sunrun. We also need to make a motion if the commission chooses to make any other amendments to the preliminary budget that aren't before you at this point. And then on June 26th, we'll bring forward to the commission the preliminary budget to adopt. In July and August, we'll bring forth rate and assessment resolutions and any, as I noted earlier, any budget carryovers. And on September 11th, we'll adopt the final budget and adopt levies for the general property tax, permissive health levy, fire levy, and the geo bond levy. And that's my overview of the preliminary budget submission from the city manager. I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Director Danielson and Manager Burton. Comments or questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner Dean.
one question I had, and maybe you can just clarify. So we have the estimate that we have for the entire, so the pool costs are split basically between the 2 fiscal years, the one we're ending and the one we're starting, and this covers the end of this fiscal year. Is that accurate?
This covers the end of fiscal year 2024.
Okay.
So we already have, we will be bringing a resolution to the commission to appropriate general fund savings to appropriate for the end of fiscal 23.
Okay.
And then the end, and then this covers the end of fiscal 24.
Great. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Director Danielson, and to everyone who's put this together. I think it's been a long process. I feel like my head is full of numbers right now, but I appreciate everything that went into it. I did like the one slide that had, it almost looked like it had our priorities. I have a dream that next year we will have a slide that reflects commission priorities and how they're represented in the budget. And I see us getting there, and I'm grateful that we're on that road. I do want to note that based on what I'm seeing with status quo budgets, it appears, that's not the right way to say it, it's clear that our priority this year is staff retention and recruitment and the COLA and the increases. And I think it's important that we do acknowledge that that is our priority. That is what we're committed to this year with status quo operating budgets, and that we start from that point next year and make conscious decisions about what is our priority for next year, where are we going. I think it's helpful to me reviewing that much information to do it within a lens of what are our priorities and how are we reflecting them. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate all the work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any others?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one more question, and I think this is actually probably for Director Leland. And I'm wondering, so a pretty significant piece of, well, a lot of budgets, but this budget is focused on water and wastewater infrastructure upgrades. Can you maybe, this is the first time we've been in a regular commission meeting. We've talked about this on the other side of the hallway. But for folks who are just tuning in, can you maybe talk about the significance of those, over $5 million of water and wastewater infrastructure upgrades?
Mayor, Commission. Yes, and actually this is a very low budget compared to last year with ARPA, where we've actually put in $13 million of federal money to be able to come in. What we are doing is you are managing a very big liability out there that has $230 million worth of water mains. You have $270 million worth of sewer mains. You have both of the water and wastewater treatment plants, which are up there in the $2 million range to be able to be replaced. You have all the water tanks that are up there that are probably going to be in there upwards of the $50 to $60 million range. So when you look at how much we actually have in infrastructure that is out there and what we need to replace on an annual basis, where we use the master plan to find out what do we need to increase, where our problems are, where we see flooding for stormwater, where do we need to grow our system? What do we need to do to get our regulations, because they continue to be ramped up in the wastewater? We just need to keep these rates so we can keep up with the times and not have a system that falls apart and end up having to spend hundreds of millions of dollars just to keep up. So this is basically a status quo so we can replace our mains and stay up with all the regulations that we do have. And we are getting older. And so it's just with the liability that we have with our system that is out there, and it is in very, very good shape. I can say that we have great people out there. So if you have specific questions on what and why we're doing it, I can answer those questions too.
Thank you, Director Leland. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I think this question would be for Director Danielson. So at some point in the summer, we're going to have a pretty good sense of what this budget will mean to the ratepayers. When and how will that best be expressed, I guess? Or when will we have a really pretty solid sense of that? And how do we communicate that to the public, I guess?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner Logan. So I'm just to clarify, are you speaking of rates or are you speaking of taxes?
Let's say the property tax bill that property owners get in November. So how this budget will impact that.
Thank you, Commissioner Logan, Mayor, and other commissioners. So this budget does recommend an approximately $6 million increase for health insurance in the permissive health levy. So that is an increase to the general taxpayer that they will see on the permissive health levy. The general obligation bond levy will remain stable, and the health levy, the general levy and the fire levy increase at one half the rate of inflation over the prior 3 years, which we're estimating to be about 2.4%. And then it'll also represent any new construction or values. We get those values on August 1st from the Department of Revenue, at which time we'll calculate what the impact will be in order to raise enough funds to support this budget, and also what that impact will be on the average property tax owner. And we'll be bringing that information in August to the Commission for consideration on their decision to any to levy any mills against property tax owners.
Thank you, Director, and thank you all from the city manager and all of staff. I would echo my colleagues' comments about the work that has gone into this. It's been a lengthy and informative session, and we really appreciate all the work that's gone into this. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments from the commission? Do we have any public comments on this topic? Madam Clerk, do we have any online?
Mayor and Commissioners, I do not have any hands raised nor any written public comment online.
Thank you. Consider a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and budget for the Business Improvement District and to levy an assessment on all properties within the district for fiscal year 2024. Director Danielson, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interject, but in the prior presentation, I had requested that the commission make a motion
Yes,
to approve the
you
additional.
did.
If we could move back to that, that would be.
Yes, we can.
Uh,
It was an oversight, and so we will correct that right now.
and we need two motions. Is that accurate? One to accept the preliminary budget and one to move the other funds.
Mayor and Commissioner Dean, the only motion we need tonight is to add the additional expenses in the city manager's presented budget. The actual motion to accept the preliminary budget will come on June 26th.
Okay,
Right.
I'm happy to make that. I will move to fund an additional $80,000 to the Last Chance Pool and Water Park in FY24 to maintain operations at current level of service and to fund the community grants for $32,000 for a total of $112,000 from the general cash reserves.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion from the commission? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Now we can move forward to the next item on the agenda. Consider a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and the budget for the Business Improvement District and to levy an assessment on all properties within the district for fiscal year 2024. Director Danielson.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Tonight, we have before you a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and budget for the Business Improvement District. This presentation was provided by the Executive Director of the Business Improvement District, John Dendy, at the June 7th meeting. There have been no changes since that presentation, and tonight, should you choose to accept the resolution of intention, we can set a public hearing and public notice and bring back the resolution later this month on the 26th. If you have any questions regarding the work plan, the assessment methodology proposal, or the budget, Mr. Dendy is present at the commission meeting tonight, and I believe he can answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would move to approve a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and budget for the Business Improvement District and to levy an assessment on all property within the district for fiscal year 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion from the commission? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and budget for the Tourism Business Improvement District and to levy an assessment on all properties within the district for the fiscal year 2024. Director Danielson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Tonight we have before you the resolution of intention to approve the budget and the work plan for the Tourism Business Improvement District. They presented to the Commission at an administrative meeting on June 7th, their proposed work plan and budget. Nothing has changed since they made that presentation last week. Should the Commission choose to accept the resolution of intention, it'll allow us to set a public hearing and public notice for the June 26th, 2023 Commission meeting. Andrea Opitz, the Executive Director of the Tourism Council, is present. Should you have any questions about her budget or her work plan for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Comments or questions from the Commission? Are there any public comments? Madam Clerk.
Mayor and Commissioners, I have no public comment online.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve a resolution of intention to approve the work plan and budget for the Tourism Business Improvement District and to levy an assessment on all property within the district for fiscal year 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion from the Commission? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Delta, consider a resolution distributing Helena Affordable Housing Trust Fund to United Housing Partners for new multifamily housing construction. Manager Burton and/or Ann Pichette and/or Director Brink, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. If you'll just give me just a second to get this pulled up. There we go. So exciting tonight to be able to present this item to you. This is a recommendation to approve a resolution distributing funds out of our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So again, consider a resolution to distribute Helena Affordable Housing Trust Funds to United Housing Partners, LLC for new multifamily housing. Just some background information on this one or on our trust fund. As you recall, November 9th, 2020, we adopted a resolution 20630 that established the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Approximately a year later, we adopted an ordinance 3292, which established the Trust Fund Advisory Board. And then a year after that, September 26, 2022, we adopted Resolution 2775, which authorized the approval of the program guidelines and the application process for the trust fund program. As you recall, we had an initial funding cycle in the fall of 2022. We did not have any applicants for that one, for that cycle. For the funding cycle in 2023, which started the spring, we opened that application process March 1st with a April 13th deadline. We received one eligible application, which was received on April the 5th. On May 10th, the advisory board met and recommended unanimously to recommend funding for that proposal. The applicant is here this evening, and I'll give some background information as well. And then on June 12th, which is tonight, is for you to consider that resolution funding that program, that project. So the project that is before you this evening for funding is called Twin Creeks Apartment Development. It's just northwest of Alice and Dorothy Street, just south of the Honda and Toyota dealerships. They're on 12. The proposal is to develop at least 45 multi-family dwelling units. There may be more. This will be spread with 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. 2 buildings that are going to serve residents 30, 50, and 70% below AMI. All homes energy efficient, low flow toilets, LED lighting, air conditioning. The period of affordability for this project is 35 years. And the request is $1 million out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to be split between construction and traditional loan after that. General site plan of this project, again, located Alice and Dorothy Street, just south of the dealerships. 2 buildings, parking, different amenities for the development itself and the residents that reside there. That was quick. I wanted to devote time for the applicant to provide additional information, more detailed than what I can provide. Any questions of staff at this moment?
Thank you, Director Brinks. Comments or questions from the commission?
Tyson in the room, Tyson O'Connell. I'm not sure if he's online, either him or his brother Seth, perhaps.
Thank you. Commission questions? Okay, do we have any public comments? Do we have Tyson or his brother? Or any other body for public comments? I know I had the opportunity to see the diagrams for the housing unit, and I was pretty impressed with them. So I wholeheartedly support this project because I think it would be a great addition to our community. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I was a little slow on the uptake earlier, but I just want to say how happy I am to be considering a project for the trust fund. This looks like a great project. It's nice to see the advisory board vote on it. I'm really excited that the Housing Trust Fund is becoming a reality. So thank you for everyone who worked on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments from the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, go ahead.
Really briefly, when I was reading through the packet, I kind of had to reflect on how excited I remember when we were going through the Fire Tower Apartments at their opening with Commissioner Fever and how much he was looking forward to the next project that this group might do in Helena. And I think it's just a nice full circle moment for this to come back around and to be our first allocation from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And very excited to have these additional units and glad to have community partners who are taking advantage of it and doing so in a way that will impact dozens and dozens of families. So really excited to support this.
Any other comments? If not, let's move for a resolution. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve a resolution distributing Helena Affordable Housing Trust Funds to United Housing Partners, LLC for new multifamily housing construction.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider a resolution for giving the balance of the inter-fund loan for the general fund to the Street Maintenance and Improvement Fund. Director Danielson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight we have a resolution before you to forgive an interfund loan between the general fund and the streets fund. Just as a little bit of a history, in fiscal year 22, staff had budgeted in the streets fund to take an intercap loan to supplementary fund the Rodney Street project. In lieu of that, the commission in fiscal 23 decided to, actually, I think it was, no, back in April 11th of 2022, the commission agreed to have a general fund loan to the streets fund in order to expedite the loan funds so that the Rodney Street project would not be delayed. At that time, we set up a resolution for a 5-year loan, but the intention at that time was for the streets fund to take an intercap loan to pay back the general fund. Since then, there's been a lot of discussion about Rodney Street projects and paying for the sidewalks and tree maintenance and other infrastructure costs on Rodney Street. And there was also pending litigation regarding the sidewalk funding. And so the commission then was brought to the commission to make the decision in order to forgive the loan to the streets fund for this, so that there is no dispute on the funding sources for additional projects at Rodney Street. The impact that this has on the general fund is to not pay back the reserves that were used to fund this particular project. And also we would reimburse the street funds for their first payment back to the general fund of $167,516. If you have any other questions at this point, I can answer them, but the intent is for the general fund to use its cash reserves to pay for supplementary infrastructure and sidewalk projects for the Rodney Street redevelopment project.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Do we have comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have no hands raised and see no written public comment online.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve a resolution for giving the balance of the interfund loan from the General Capital Fund to the Street Maintenance and Improvements Fund.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussions from the commission? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shartliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider a resolution to set fees charged for disposal of garbage and refuge in the City of Helena Transfer Station and repeal resolution number 20501. Director Danielson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Tonight we have before you a resolution of intention to set fees for the tipping fees for the Helena Transfer Station. Both the City of Helena and the Lewis and Clark County jointly analyze the tipping fees every year at the transfer station. There was a recommendation to actually reduce the tipping fees this year, and the county plans on using cash reserves to supplement the operations of that program. They're proposing to lower their tipping fee to $24 per ton, which is a decrease of $2. And so then that carries over to what the city has to pay, which would recommend a tipping fee of $54.75 per ton, which is a decrease of $2. If you have any other questions regarding the tipping fees, Director Leland is here and can answer any further questions.
All right, comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
move to approve a resolution of intention to set fees charged for disposal of garbage and refuse at the City of Helena Transfer Station and repeal resolution number 20501.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any final discussion?
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask the Deputy City Attorney really quickly a clarifying question? We've had a couple motions tonight that on one of our cover sheet has the recommended motion that doesn't have the public hearing date in it, but then we have another one that does have the public hearing date. Is it okay that we haven't included the public hearing date in our motion so far? And I just want to ensure we're good.
Mayor and Commissioners, the requirement in law is that there must be 2 meetings and that the public hearing be held no sooner than 12 days from the first reading of the resolution. So as long as it's sufficiently noticed, it does not need to be before you right in this meeting.
Okay. And just for the public record, all of these are June 26th.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Quit looking at your time, Commissioner. You got somewhere to go?
All right, no, we just have the roll call now.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider the Lewis and Clark County and City of Helena interlocal agreement for management of the landfill. Director Burton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. This just is to continue an interlocal agreement that we've had back to 2014. The city and the county.
Okay, for the record, we have Director Leland speaking and not Manager Burton.
Sorry about that, Mayor.
No, that's okay.
But the city and the county have had a integrated solid waste plan where the city in the 90s or 89 goes to the landfill, and then the county provides comes to the transfer station. We work together, we manage it together. It's a very streamlined process, and I think as we come together and become better partners in the whole system between the county and the city, we're able to do things like lower the tipping fee because of cost savings we have with the city managing the landfill, which happened back in 2014. Plus, we have not had any rate increases for several years, which we may come back in July and August to increase the assessments in solid waste. But at this time, it is just to continue the interlocal agreement with the county that the city manages it. We have better streamlining. We have better coordination. There's issues of when the landfill could be open compared to when the transfer station is open. And this way it is very uniformed, streamlined. The county knows what's going on. Pete Anderson, which has been doing the management under the superintendent, as the superintendent of the city solid waste, has done an excellent job. So with this is to just do a new agreement because it expires in June 30th of this year or July 1. And it's for another 5 years. And with the compensation is we are going to go for $157,000 per year. Plus a COLA is automatically included if the city commission approves anything for its staff. It was just tied to that COLA because most of the costs in this are associated with staffing, and the 150 does the management of landfill, does the permitting for the scratch gravel. It is a very good benefit to the customers and to our staff to be able to take care of it in the transfer station, so people do not have to go to the county shops to be able to take care of it. So with this, it's basically status quo with a little bit of an increase in the overall compensation from the county. So we just like to continue this agreement that has been very, very beneficial to both customers. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Leland. Do we have any comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one.
Please go ahead.
Can you maybe talk about, so I just want to make sure this doesn't hamstring us in terms of what comes of the solid waste master plan. So can you talk about how the extension of this interlocal agreement will or won't dovetail with the new master plan?
Mayor and Commission, Commissioner Dean, this will dovetail very well. Because it is an integrated solid waste master plan, it'll be able to help us keep it coordinated and streamline the adoption of it and the implementation of that plan. Plus, it is only for 5 years. By the time we get anything that is substantive, if we're going to say split and go it all private or anything along those lines, I think it'll take several steps and within the 5 years to be able to do it. But if something more dramatic does happen and we no longer want to have this agreement, there's a separation clause so we can get out of it within a couple months, so that the county, or within 1 year, sorry, this one is 1 year, that the county has to go and do their management. So we do have a separation clause. So it isn't going to obligate us to do anything that the master plan may go against.
Okay.
So it does help out, and we did look at that.
Okay, it's just, the reason I'm asking, I just want to make sure that we are in a position, I hope we continue this kind of relationship because I think it's been beneficial for both, but I also just don't want us to be in a position and maybe continue to be thoughtful about how do we continue to, divert waste and have a beneficial relationship. So I'm glad to hear this won't prevent us from doing that.
And Mayor, Commission, I'd like to add one more point, is one of the part as far as the diversion that helps us out a great deal with the landfill is the composting, is we're able to combine all our composting, and it adds a benefit with us being able to manage both of it. It is a much better streamlined one. So it'll actually enhance what we're trying to do as far as diversion. And that's where we're trying to get some of the grants to be able to increase our overall composting. And that's how we are looking at it as a joint.
Cool. Thank
joint
you.
system. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Leland. Any other comments from the commission? Do we have any public comments at this time? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have no hands raised and no written public comment online.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I move to approve an interlocal agreement with Lewis and Clark County for management of solid waste operations of Lewis and Clark County.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion from the commission? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider city ordinance revision approval, trap neuter return, TRN program. Manager Burton and or Police Chief Brett Petty, you have the floor.
Mayor, City Commission, thank you. Manager Burton, did you want to take this? Okay, I didn't think so. I'll take it tonight. I presented the trap and neuter program and return, trap neuter return, TNR. I presented this April 5th at an administrative meeting, and we talked about how this would be a revision to the current code, and the code is under Title V Police Regulations, Chapter 2 Animal Control. It wouldn't change, it would add some definitions of what some of the language in the code would be. And then under 5-2-12 would actually be the trap neuter return program language. Quickly, since we've talked about it briefly before, I'll just give some oversight here. The trap neuter return program is the effective process of humanely trapping community cats and sterilizing and vaccinating for rabies and other known diseases, ear tipping and returning these cats to their original location. How the process works, we do have cat colonies around Helena. From what my animal control officers tell me, there's 6 to 7 cat colonies. This is where 10 to 20, even maybe more cats live in this colony. There must be some location where they are being fed either by a community caregiver or eating off the land, or people don't know that they're getting into their cat food or anything else that they may eat. So once a colony is identified, we would go in there and again, humanely trap these cats, bring them to the Lewis and Clark County Humane, the shelter down there. They have grant funding to do the process of either sterilizing, vaccinate, and if anything else is wrong with the cat, they can look at. There is a possibility that they would get a cat down there and it's not doing so well. So it would also add that the shelter would euthanize, make that choice, that it wouldn't be able to live if we were to return it back out there. The goal, this TNR, or the overall goal of this ordinance revision with the program is to trap, neuter, return 80% or more of the colony. With this program, we would have the ability to manage the cat populations through spay and neuter, as well as be able to control the transfer of diseases from cats to other animals by the way of vaccination. There is another agency up in Havre currently doing the animal control up there. Their stats, they've used this program on over 450 cats. All the areas that they have implemented this program, they've seen a large reduction in the number of cats. Also, the health of the cats has improved and the amount of cats coming into their shelter has declined. So from Havre's point of view, it's a win-win. We also had a letter of support from Molly Sumridge, who's an assistant professor of anthrozoology at Carroll College, and explaining that this program is mainstream practice across the United States and is supported by all credible animal welfare organizations. And she feels in order for this program to be effective, 50 to 70% of the cats need to be captured. So we've added this language. We revised, I've worked with the assistant attorney on revising the current ordinance under animal control, basically allowing us to do this program in partnership with the Lewis and Clark Humane Society, the shelter down there, in order to trap these cats and see if we can decline the population both at the shelter and the colonies. And with that, is there any questions?
Thank you, Chief Petty. Comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments? Without, thank you, Chief Petty.
Thank you.
At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve the updated City Code Title V Police Regulations, Chapter 2, to include language and definitions for the Trap, Neuter, Return program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion from the commission?
I just, one last comment, that always grateful for the partnership of the Lewis and Clark Humane Society. None of this would be possible without them either. So I'm really glad that we can partner with them again.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any others? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider personnel policies. Director McMahon, you have the floor.
Our workplace, our workplace violence policy. This one's a little bit very slightly modified from the version we considered over the administrative meeting last Wednesday. The reason for the policy update is to bring this particular policy in compliance with the 2021 legislative action regarding concealed carry. So the fifth paragraph, I believe, talks about which authorized weapons and firearms that are authorized to be carried by our employees at the city. And we talk about that in the policy as sworn law enforcement animal control officers. Upon the recommendation from our insurance carrier, MMIA, they suggested that we also add unauthorized firearms. That's in the second to last line. So it says, with the exception of sworn law enforcement animal control officers, employees are also prohibited from bringing unauthorized firearms or other weapons in city vehicles or in personal vehicles if completing city business. So upon the recommendation from our insurance carrier, we inserted that one word. So that's the change from the prior policy that you reviewed. The second policy for your consideration is an update to our position classification and position description policy. The purpose for these changes is primarily to provide for a little more flexibility and nimbleness, I guess, for our administration of this particular policy. Most, if not a great majority, and all of our reclassification requests typically fall within the budget cycle, and we would continue to have that practice. But in the event there's a restructure or turnover, that sort of thing, we'd like to have the ability to consider it if it does happen to fall off cycle. So it adds that provision on or into this policy. And it also describes the expectation of what departments and department heads are required to consider when reclassifying positions. The third policy for your consideration is the standards of conduct policy. Right now, the current City of Helena standard of conduct policy is literally a Montana code standard of conduct for public employees. We will still, of course, comply with that particular law. It's included in 813-2A. Every employee must follow that particular code, but it also outlines the expectations in conduct and behavior that we expect of all of our employees and want to emulate to our citizens and the residents and those we serve. So it replaces that current policy. So those are replacement policies. New policies for you to consider. One is the sick leave donation policy for our probationary employees. We have found with our tight labor market and the turnover that we've had a lot of brand new employees over the last couple of years, especially in light of COVID. We've had a lot of people who had to take time off before they had a leave accrual or were even able to take their leave given the code restrictions for Montana code annotated. So what this particular policy does is allows for employees who have been here less than 1 year, who have either a serious illness or injury of their own or are expecting or adopting a child, to be able to get people to donate up to 2 weeks or 80 hours of sick leave to accommodate that extenuating circumstance. Give some grace to brand new employees. We capped it at 80 hours because they are new employees. They are probationary employees, but we did want to allow them to have some time off in those kinds of circumstances and still be able to assess their performance over the probationary period. And then lastly, a new policy, a consensual relationships policy. It's sound business practice to have a consensual relationships policy. In this particular policy, we require that employees, if they're having a romantic, sexual, or intimate relationship between city employees, those must be reported to a supervisor. If there's some authority, either implied or direct or real authority in that relationship, this policy not only requires for that to be reported immediately, but also to remove that power and authority over the subordinate and the person with any kind of control over an employment situation or employment decisions. With that, I'll entertain any questions, should you have any.
Thank you, Director McMahon. Comments or questions from the commission? Director McMahon, I got one question. What if I'm talking about the relationship policy. What if they're in two different departments and the work does not interfere at all?
Right, the requirement in this particular policy is that it be reported and that we're aware of that situation to the department director, I believe. We won't remove the relationship if there's no authority in that particular case.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commission? Do we have any public comments? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, Commissioners, I see no hands raised and have no public comment online.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
approve the following personnel policies as proposed: consensual relationships, position classification, position description, sick leave donation, probationary employees, standards of conduct, and workplace violence.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. At this time, is there anyone from the public wishes to address the commission? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, Commissioners, I see no hand raised and no written public comment online.
Thank you. I just want to thank Director Danielson and her team for the hard work they put into our budget and all other members of our city team. Thank you. At this time, if any other final comments from the commission? Nothing, this meeting is adjourned.